This is Unspoiled, covering Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix, chapters 23 and 24, Christmas on the Closed Ward, and Occlumency. In these chapters, Harry's being possessed. Wait, no he's not. Yes he is! No he's not? Yes, but no.
No.
Welcome to Unspoiled.
So here we are again, kids.
So, you said before we started that you thought you were getting all of your answers.
Yes, I was reading the first couple of pages and I felt this immense satisfaction. Immense. All of my questions were being answered. But then it's like, no, they weren't. Really what you got were more questions.
Yep.
Yeah, but I did. I fell for it. First couple of pages, I felt like, yeah, now we're getting somewhere. Now we're getting to it.
Bless your heart, as they say down here in Texas.
We're not getting to nothing but more shit. That's what we're getting to.
It's true.
Oh.
Yeah, okay, so this chapter, Christmas on the Closed Ward, is the one that I've been waiting for you to get to this one.
Really?
Just because of Neville's thing. Neville's story ripped my heart into pieces the first time that I read it. And I even got teared up reading it this time.
Yeah, same. When they end up on that floor, which is the wrong floor, it's like, what is the floor called? Spells? Harm spells? I
don't remember.
I'm looking for it real quick.
Spell damage.
Spell damage.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as I heard that, I was like, oh, wait, that's where... But I wasn't sure if we were actually going to see them. Mm-hmm. But I thought of him as soon as I read it. And then you get sort of sidetracked because Lockhart pops up.
Fucking Lockhart. Who,
right.
It's like, it's not funny because he's honestly been fucked up by that spell, but it is funny because he's a liar and terrible.
And it's funny because even though he doesn't remember who he is, he seems to be the same fucking person.
Mm-hmm, pretty much.
So I thought that was kind of funny, even though I know you're not supposed to laugh. I laughed a little.
I just love when he's like, she writes every week. I just wish I knew why. And then, must be because I'm super hot. Yeah, okay. That follows. Moving on.
Love that he, in this state that he's in now, his room is still covered with pictures of himself.
Yes.
Which is exactly how his office was.
Yep.
So, it's, but first we see Arthur, right? Mm-hmm. And there's this really phenomenal little exchange because Arthur and someone who's not quite a healer, I guess they're like a trainee,
yes,
decide to give stitches a try. And it really does sound barbaric.
Yep.
I suppose you're going to sew it together.
It's even you wouldn't be that stupid. What do you mean that's the general idea?
I love too how everybody bounces because Harry knows what stitches is and Hermione knows,
Yep.
So they're all like, "Oh, wait, somebody's calling me in the other room. Wait, what'd you say?" And they all run out. So that was good, and then it does the Lockhart, and then it fucking goes to Neville.
Well, before all of this, before we're even at the closed ward, we have Harry coping mentally with the news of him being possessed. Mm-hmm. And this is the part where you're like, oh, this must be everything.
Yeah, yes. This is where I thought that it was all coming out.
And he said, he remembers, what's he after apart from followers? Stuff he can only get by stealth, like a weapon, something he didn't have last time.
And he thinks he's the weapon.
Yep.
Which I'm like, oh my god, that could be it.
I mean, it makes sense. Honestly, it does.
Fuck. Yeah.
But then as soon as he starts to be like, but how did I leave Hogwarts? How could I be in the snake? How could any of this... The story starts to fall apart pretty quick.
Yeah, yeah.
It's just that he basically is like, yeah, no, it doesn't make sense, but I also don't know everything. So it's obviously happening, and I just don't understand why it's happening.
He knows something is definitely happening, and he can't explain what it is. And this is a horrible thing to think, and it's probably like a huge fear. Mm-hmm. So your brain does a thing where it kind of fills in the blanks.
Yep. Which we are all guilty of doing.
We are. So he pretty much convinces himself, even though he doesn't have a strong case, he convinces himself that this is what's happening, to the point where he's going to leave.
Yep.
To protect everyone else.
Yeah, he's like thinking about where to go. At first he's like Hogwarts, and then he's like, no, I can't go back to Hogwarts. Yeah. There's all the students there. He could hurt anybody there. So then he's like, Privet Drive, fuck those guys.
Pretty much.
I'll just go back there.
I was like, you could hurt the people at Privet Drive too.
Doesn't matter.
But he's like, no, it's away from the wizarding world. I think it's this sort of way to make it seem okay. But really in his heart, it was fuck those guys.
Yeah, right. Pretty much.
And then, what's the picture of Phineas? The one in the portrait that pops up that gives him the message from Dumbledore?
Yep, stay where you are. I haven't moved. No, that's the message, dum-dum.
See, I'm just going to say that he knew saying the message that way would be misinterpreted.
Oh, yeah, he's just fucking petulant, this guy.
He's just being shitty.
I love it so much, too. And he's like, this is why I hated being a teacher.
Yes.
Oh, I loved that whole monologue.
Yeah. His whole little fucking diatribe. He calls him a puffed up Poppin' Jay.
Yes. Has it not occurred to you, my poor puffed up Popinjay, that there might be an excellent reason why the headmaster of Hogwarts is not confiding every tiny detail of his plans to you? Have you never paused while feeling hard done by to note that following Dumbledore's orders has never yet led you into harm? No, like all young people, you are quite sure that you alone feel and think. You alone recognize danger. You alone are the only one clever enough to realize what the Dark Lord may be planning.
That's a
amen.
And Harry is like, I don't hear none of that.
Nope.
He is planning something to do with me. Like, it just bounces off of him like Teflon.
I love it so much. He's so predictable.
And then he does the little, well, did I say that?
What?
and now I must take my leave.
Yep.
And then he just bounces. So now Harry, who a minute ago was going to pull his trunk out and he was going to Privet Drive, now he's still in his house.
Yep.
And he's mad. He's really mad.
And he's hiding from everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Every time Mrs. Weasley kind of comes by him, or, he's left alone with anybody, he basically is like, I don't want to subject them to my company.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he's finally, guess who shows up? Hermione. The voice of reason always.
I was so glad she popped up because I wasn't expecting her
Agreed.
Over the Christmas holidays. So I was like, thank God, Hermione.
So yeah, I love too that she's like, so to be honest, I don't love skiing, but don't tell Ron that because he was such a dick about it that I pretended it's awesome. And she has orchestrated a little intervention, basically, with Ginny. Yep. And at this moment, he's like, I didn't want to talk to you. And Ginny's like, well, that's pretty fucking stupid because I'm the only other person you know who's ever been possessed by Lord Voldemort.
Which never even occurred to Harry.
Nope. And he says, I forgot. And she says, lucky you. Which I really like that line a lot.
I did too. But and it's funny because you know what? I have to be fair. I had forgotten about it as well. So this is a perfect person to give him insight into this thing he's worried about, and it hasn't occurred to him that she's right there at his disposal.
Yep.
So she gives us some good information.
Yeah, she's like, are there stretches of time that you don't know what you've been doing, or are you waking up someplace and don't know how you got there? And he's like, no. And she's like, then he's not possessing you. That's not what's happening here. Which makes a lot of sense because it, like, Ron says later, you know, because Harry's trying to act like, I don't know how he got me out of the castle. And it's one thing for Hermione to be like, you know, dum-dum, spells and stuff don't work like that at Hogwarts.
I feel like she said a million times.
She has, but it's easy to be like, you know, Lord Voldemort is able to get around the usual rules for a lot of things. Yeah. So it wouldn't be totally out of the realm of possibility that he'd somehow be able to find an exception in terms of transporting a student out. I could see that being something he could do. But when Ron is like, I saw you in bed thrashing around before you were even able to wake up, that, you know, there's no explaining that one. You can't be sitting in your bed freaking out and also be
elsewhere,
hundreds of miles away in London.
Yeah.
So
the first thing Harry thinks is that I'm not the weapon, which is a huge relief.
Yeah.
I'm not 100% sure. I mean, I know he's not, because I feel like we find later on when he realizes what that hallway is and the door is. Mm-hmm. But I don't know if I'm 100% on board with Harry not being the weapon. I think he very much could be with what we learn in the chapter with Snape.
He just doesn't know how that works yet.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense. Yeah, so he finally starts to get into a good mood, and Sirius has been in an awesome mood.
Yeah. He's like singing Christmas carols that I don't quite recognize.
God rest ye merry hippogriffs, let none of you be slain. I don't know, I made that up. But
was that from the dome? Was that right off the dome there?
Yeah. I was just thinking about poor Buckbeak about to get executed. And yeah, so he has the whole house decorated. He's been cleaning a ton.
Yeah, he's happy.
But they haven't seen Creature
I got really uncomfortable with this realization.
Yeah. And
Harry says, well, you know, the one time Dobby got away. And I started to think, even though we find out later that he's supposedly just been in the attic, but I was starting to think, if Creature were going to go somewhere, where would he go?
Where would he go?
I don't know, because everyone he loves is dead in a painting. So I'm not sure.
That's the weirdest sentence.
But it's not wrong.
No, it's not.
So I don't know where he would go unless he was going to give a message to someone else. And I don't even know because he's so old, you know. Mm-hmm. But it made me very uncomfortable with the thought that they haven't seen him, and knowing that a house elf could leave if he really wanted to. He just, you know, would suffer for it. Mm-hmm. Because I hadn't really thought of Creature as being a serious liability, you know?
Right.
I mean, he's a pain in the ass, he's kind of funny, but I didn't think of him as someone who could steal away and tell secrets.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think anybody did.
Yeah. When Harry tells Sirius, he kind of takes a moment.
Yeah, he's not, like you said, uncomfortable.
Yeah.
That is a good way to describe the way that he seems to... And then immediately he's like, well, you know, I'm sure it's fine.
Yeah, yeah.
Maybe he's just gone off somewhere and died, but I shouldn't get my hopes up. He's such a dick.
The shade in this book is so strong.
Honestly, yeah.
It really is.
So Hermione has made a little quilt for him, or bought a quilt. I don't remember. Did she make it? I remember them saying to make sure it's not
isn't
clothes.
Yeah, because
no, it's a patchwork quilt. I thought it would brighten up his bedroom. Okay, yeah, so no, it's not. She didn't make it, but... and speaking of gifts, she gave both Harry and Ron.
I thought of you, because you just gave me the planner. Tasha bought me this beautiful planner, guys, from, is it Erin Condren?
Yep.
It's so nice. And I feel like I should have a life now to do it justice. So I'm going to work on that immediately.
Yay.
But when I read this, it made me think of you.
I didn't even think about it when I bought it for you. And then I'm reading this, and she had gotten them planners, and I'm just like, oh my God, I am such a Hermione. And like I am.
Yeah.
I am.
Yours doesn't yell at me, but it does come with stickers, which I think is kind of the same thing.
The thing is, like, there are things like MyFitnessPal and like food tracker type of apps that have like reminders that come up on your phone. And that's what that reminded me of, that when I used to try and do MyFitnessPal, if I didn't log my food and it was, 8 o'clock at night, I would suddenly get this like little notification on my phone, hey, don't forget. Or when I had Runkeeper on my phone, it would be like, hey, it's been a few days, time to get out there. And I hate that shit so fucking much.
I was going to say, no one wants that. Why would someone want that?
I guess to just, like, feel like you're being held accountable, but to me, it just makes me resentful and be like, fuck you, I'm going to get us an ice cream. Shut the fuck up. So, yeah, the planner thing I'm 100% behind, but a planner that chirps and yells at you, basically. You're calling people a second rater.
I know, right?
Dickhead.
Just do it now, don't do it later and be a second reader.
Oh my god.
What's the other one? Cross your eyes and dot your I's and cross your T's, and then you can do whatever you please.
Yep. Which I'm like, I can do whatever I please right the fuck now. Bye.
I'm grown.
Exactly. So they go into his bedroom and he has this fucking like pile of shit in his room that he's collected. And there's a portrait of this woman that's like taped together. Let's see. The dark, heavy-lidded woman whose trial he had witnessed in Dumbledore's Pensieve, Bellatrix Lestrange, who we find out is the one that is responsible for Neville's parents.
And I think we learn that in the other book when we went through the Pensieve, that she was responsible for that, or no? It's
honestly not entirely clear, because I've had a couple people be like, it wasn't Barty Crouch Jr. He got arrested with that group, but he didn't do it. And other than the word of Neville's grandmother, there's never actual 100% confirmation of that in canon. That Barty Crouch Jr. didn't have anything to do with it, because I looked it up separately on Pottermore and on fan sites and stuff, and so far it doesn't seem as if anybody's directly asked J.K. Rowling that question, because the only way that a lot of that kind of canon stuff comes out is in interviews and stuff like that. So there was one interview where people were writing in questions, and the question appeared on the page, but it doesn't seem like she ever actually answered it. So I kind of, whether or not he held the wand that did it, I think that if he got arrested with them, he had to have been involved somehow, But it might have just been circumstantial. I don't know. But whatever the case, he was a freaking psychopath too. So, so yeah. Anyway, she decides to leave the present there. They talk about how he's been missing, and then they head over to the closed ward for their little Christmas meetup with Arthur. And yeah, Mrs. Weasley does not think much of Muggle medicine.
No, she does not.
She is pretty angry.
Yeah, she's horrified, I think it's fair to say. And she notices right away. She's like, "What's going on with your bandage?" Mm-hmm. He's like, "What? No, what are you talking
Nothing.
about?"
Oh my god, presents! This is so great. She's just like, "Okay, listen, bitch. You're not fooling anybody."
So people start like, Lupin wanders over to the werewolf in the other bed, and I think the twins leave immediately. Like Bill and the twins leave first, and then Harry was like, "I think I'm going to get some tea," and that's when like Ginny and Hermione and Ron are like, "Yeah, we'll go with you."
Yeah, good plan. Okay.
And you just hear her screaming as they leave the room.
I love that so much, and it turned like. he wanted to just try it out, but as it turns out, that probably the venom of the snake that bit him is melting the sutures, so not the best time to be experimenting with this stuff, dude.
But it's totally in line with his character.
Oh, yeah.
Because we already know, that he sort of has a weird fascination with Muggle things. Mm-hmm. So he would be completely down for that. Stitches, yeah, sure, why not?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I love that there is some sort of trainee level person on the floor that is like, yeah, I think this is a good idea.
Yes. Yeah, this is the kind of person that has, like, essential oil, air purifier things going on. Well, if you just drink this unsweetened cranberry juice.
It'll completely replace your gynecologist. You won't even need him.
Yeah, Mr. Weasley, you won't even need your gynecologist. Yeah, not that, essential oil doesn't do some good, but you all know what I'm saying. Y'all know what I'm saying.
Yeah, you get the gist.
You get it. So I saw a thing the other day about somebody who was like, it was some nourished food page, something like that, and they were showing how you could dehydrate and then chop up and grind into a powder the pit from avocados and use it like as a fiber supplement in yogurt and smoothies and stuff. And like, I'm thinking, I have heard that's not cool. And I look it up. You're not supposed to eat avocado pits.
Yeah, I was pretty sure you were.
They're like quasi-poisonous. They're kind of like, so it was just the sort of thing like, oh, this website just says this is a good, cool thing to do, and nobody actually checks anything about it. They're just like, yeah, awesome, fiber. I'm like, yeah, no, you're not eating the quilt off your bed, and that's fiber. It's just, you don't just say one word about something and suddenly that's all it is. But whatever. Okay, so, they go up to, they're trying to find the tea room.
Trying to find the tea room, and then they take the stairs, and that's when they I love the fucking first sight of Lockhart. He's like got his face pressed against the glass.
Yes, he's a little kid. And yeah, he's just like practically like waiting for anybody to show up.
Anyone is there to see him if they would just stop.
And the nurse is like, I don't know why he doesn't have any visitors. He's such a sweetheart. And I'm like, is he?
She does that. Come along. And they're like, well, we're just. It doesn't even matter.
Yeah, they all just feel too embarrassed to be like, no, right. we're really going to leave this lonely man by himself for Christmas. Bye.
So she does that thing where she just sort of ushers them in. And they're just sort of stuck.
Yeah.
Nobody in our group is particularly rude, especially to, like, adults.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, I don't think any of them would have been like, no, we're not coming to see him. They're decent people. Mm-hmm. So, given that situation, they don't really have a choice.
And even if they weren't, like, if they did tend to be rude sometimes, people do get extra conscious about that stuff around Christmas, even when you are normally a huge dick. I
feel like if it were someone who was not Malfoy, but like Malfoy, you'd be like, no, I'm not here to see him. Yeah. And wouldn't think twice about it and would keep going wherever you were going. Mm-hmm. But our guys are not quite that awful.
And it's and another layer added to it, because if it were just somebody that was acting real friendly with them, but that they didn't know, but they know him,
exactly.
So it's, exactly. And he recognizes Harry, and he says, you were my teacher. I was a teacher?
Right. Like, there's a thing where, I think, like, Ron kind of feels bad, but Harry's like, I don't feel guilty because he was trying to wipe our memories.
Yep.
So, yeah, they have such a history with him that they kind of don't have a choice but to go and visit with him.
It just makes me think of when in the second book, and he's like, a professor. I expect I was hopeless, was I? So let's see. They're going and sitting with him, and the lady's distributing Christmas presents to everybody. And he's in the middle of doing a bunch of autographs.
Oh my God, because it's all he knows how to do, apparently.
Yep. And here you are, Agnes. Not forgotten, are you? Your son sent an owl to say he's visiting tonight, so that's nice, isn't it? And, look, Broderick, you've been sent a potted plant and a lovely calendar with a different fancy hippogriff for each month. They'll brighten the place up. And, yeah, just going around passing everything out. And then Neville and his grandmother come around the corner.
Oh, wait, did we miss this when Ron is going up the stairs and one of the pictures diagnoses him with some kind of weird skin ailment?
It's like dragon pox or something like this.
He's like, they're freckled.
Yeah, he's like, what the fuck? Dude's like, well, you know, those unsightly marks on your visage, young master. These motherfuckers. As a woman who is freckled, may I register my displeasure?
Your displeasure. I just thought that was a very cute little
I used to hate my freckles
thing.
so much.
You know, I never understood that. I mean, I don't have freckles, so I couldn't. But I've known a lot of people who were freckled, and they all say they hated their freckles.
I like them better now, but I definitely have a couple that I feel like can look like acne. Because of just they almost look like a shadow rather than, you know, so it sort of looks like I must have something that's casting a shadow, which means I have a giant zit on my face.
I never thought about it that way.
So that's cool. I'm sure nobody thinks of it except me, but I do think of it like that. Owen likes freckles on ladies more than not. So that was something that when he first like really saw me, he was like, "Oh, hey." But yeah, anyway. So
as they're in with Lockhart, then they Neville's grandmom comes out.
Mm-hmm. And this is so awkward because Harry wants to get Ron to leave it alone, but there's no way to shut him up without it being super obvious.
He's like, shit, when you're wearing robes, I can step on anybody's foot. No one ever notices.
And I love his grandmother being like, why didn't you tell them? Are you ashamed of your parents? And he's like, no. And you know that it's not that. You know it's not that, but what is it exactly? It's just like I don't think he's ashamed, but he's afraid of how other people would treat it, you know? I think it's difficult to share something that hurts so much. Oh, sometimes definitely. It can be really hard to share that, even with people that you love and respect. Because we know Neville loves Harry and Ron and Hermione. I mean, because he's talked to his grandmom about them so much she knows who each of them is. Yeah. But it's such a hurtful sort of private thing that it's difficult to share. And I was kind of bummed that the grandmom took it like, oh, are you ashamed? Even though I feel like that's pretty reasonable, like, and that's what would happen in the real world. Mm-hmm. But it bummed me out because I feel like he's not that kind of guy. His grandmother doesn't seem to have a lot of sympathy for the kind of guy he is. She really doesn't. She really, and that really makes me mad. It's weird because I like his grandmother. She seems very reasonable, and she says, "Oh, you're one of the Weasleys. The Weasleys are good people." Mm-hmm. But then, she says, "Well, I'm afraid to say that he doesn't have his father's talent." And I'm like, "Oh, come on." That fucking burned me up when she said that. Mm-hmm. Like, it's that thing where it's someone who loves you, but they can't help telling you what's wrong with you all the fucking time. Yeah, guilty. No. Sorry, everybody who's ever known me. It's like that over... Now I feel bad about finishing my sentence. No, please, go ahead. But like that overly critical kind of you can never do anything right is what I get from his grandmom. Because Neville is not that guy. He's not like ashamed of his parents, but it's a personal, painful thing. Mm-hmm. And you don't want to share it because you don't want people to feel sorry for you, and you don't want to share it because you don't want it to get out and people use it against you. Mm-hmm. And she just makes him feel like crap for not having told the whole world. Yeah. And I just felt like that sucked because it wasn't really fair. And I think it's for her, she views it as a point of pride. It's not even like, oh, this is a private thing for her. It's like they did something amazing that people should be proud of, that they were able to withstand him and, went down fighting, basically. Agreed. And she's not wrong because I think that if it were to come out, if Neville were to share it with the world,
the majority of the opinion would be, oh, your parents were heroes. Right?
Yep.
I don't think that she's wrong in thinking that it's something to be proud of. But I just wish that she, and we've known since book 1 that she's not that.
Yeah.
But for some reason, suddenly I wanted her to be a different person. You know?
Yep. I think we've all been there.
You know, and like, he is so, even in this moment that we're reading it, he's so uncomfortable, and she just is not picking up on that or choosing not to pay attention to it.
She just doesn't care that he's uncomfortable.
Doesn't give a fuck, right?
Yeah.
She doesn't. She just doesn't give a fuck. And I love Neville. I have loved Neville, and I love him even more.
Neville have I loved, and Mrs. Longbottom have I hated.
Oh. So there was this thing, and then Harry has to tell everybody that he did kind of know this already.
Well, and the thing that kills me is his mother comes out, and her hair is white and brittle. And Harry had seen a photo of her before all of this happened, and she had this round, happy face.
Yeah.
And
now she's all like gaunt and drawn and wispy white hair.
Mm-hmm.
And
she gives him a Drubel's blowing gum wrapper. Drops it in his hand. Which, when she does that, the first time I read this, I will never forget. I, like, inhaled and, like, held my breath for a second. Like, the fact that that's what she gave him was so fucking sad that it was, like, this was, for me, one of the most affecting moments in the whole series. It just murdered me.
Yeah.
And the fact that his grandmother tells him to throw it away.
But he puts it in his pocket.
Yeah, and I was like, throw it away? What the fuck is wrong with you?
She's just disconnected in that way.
Yeah. And I love, too, that she writes that Neville was looking at them all defiantly as if daring them to laugh. Right? But Harry didn't think he had ever found anything less funny in his life. Yeah, no kidding.
The only thing that was missing from that is I wanted, and this is just me, I wanted somebody to just run up and give him a hug and just be like, no, it's okay. Don't worry about this at all.
Yeah, I feel like there was not, I don't feel like he would have appreciated that in front of his grandmother.
Yeah, no, I get it. I mean, for my own personal.
Oh, no, I get that, yeah.
And I feel, I like to think that there will come a time later when that's addressed. And that point will be made that we don't think it's funny. We're not judging you. I feel like that will come later, hopefully.
Oh, bless his heart.
Yeah, it was real. This little part at the end with Neville was really sad.
And I think that when Harry first finds out about it, doesn't he say something about how, like, people felt bad for him because his parents died, but he felt like Neville probably had it worse.
Exactly, he does.
Yeah, I think so.
He says something about that, and also that no one, like, Harry gets all the sympathy, and no one gives Neville the sympathy because they don't know. Like, Neville.
Yeah.
And especially because he ended up being super hot, if I'm not mistaken. Some pictures I've seen floating around.
He did. I mean, they uglied him up for the movie, so it's not so much like, oh, he suddenly, like, grew into himself, as much as it's like they just gave him false teeth and a paunch for the movie that he didn't actually have. But
I'm not allowed to click on the links, but I have seen a picture or two.
Yeah,
it looks okay.
He's not really my type. He's kind of got a Ben Affleck look to him.
Oh, do you think?
Because he's got a big chin.
Oh, I see.
You know what I mean? But I understand it. So
yeah, it's all right.
British men are all right with me. Okay, so then they all say that they didn't know. Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say the last thing of the chapter is Lockhart yelling because no one's taking his autographs.
Right, yes. And he's like, I know how to do joined up writing now, as he said earlier. I'm like, oh, God. He's like, he's in 4th grade.
Yeah, he's like, I didn't learn it for nothing.
So the next chapter, they find Creature up in the attic. Harry caught the house elf staring avidly at him, always looking quickly away when he saw that Harry had noticed. Harry did not mention his vague suspicion to Sirius, Yeah. What do you think?
All right. So they tell us that he was in the attic. We don't know that to be true. Just know that to be saying.
Right.
It made me feel weird because if we had seen a scene where Sirius finds him in the attic.
You mean like if we had actually gotten to be there?
Yeah, like but we don't. We just hear Sirius say, "Oh, I found him in the attic." So I'm still not 100% sure that he hasn't been somewhere else doing something else. But I'll put that on the shelf for now.
What would you think he had been doing?
See, that's the thing. I'm not sure where he would go. I feel like he has enough. I want to call it hatred. Well, hatred. Okay, he's got enough dissatisfaction in his heart to force him to pull a Dobby and go somewhere where he shouldn't be to give someone a message. But I just don't know where he would go or who he would go to see. So because I don't know that, I have to just kind of, like I said, put it on the shelf and just accept that Sirius said he was in the attic.
Okay.
But I think it's weird because every other time they've been in this house, he's been so present. Mm-hmm. With his muttering, his hilarious muttering. His fucking internal dialogue that's completely external.
Bold as brass, speaking to creature like she's a friend. I love him so much.
So, for him to be missing, it seems like it's important. Mm-hmm. But I don't know what to make of where he could go. Unless he would go to some other families that he feels safe with. Mm-hmm. Like they have that whole family tree parchment kind of deal, right?
Right.
Unless he sought out one of those families to say, hey, this is what's been going on in the house. Mm-hmm. But I don't really have anything to support that, so that's just sort of a nagging thing.
Okay. Okay, so Harry is in the middle of playing chess with Ron when they get interrupted because Snape wants to see him. And this scene is so immature.
I forgot that Snape knew where this house was. I'm not going to lie.
Oh, really?
I was like, what? Snape? What are you doing here?
He's in the order, girl.
And then I remember, and I was like, oh, shit, that's right. But Harry's reaction was the same as mine. Like, what? Oh, shit. Someone's like, what did you do?
Right? Did you do something? No.
Yeah, I had the same exact reaction. So he's here to tell us that Harry needs to have these special classes. These, say it for me.
Occlumency.
Thank you. Lessons. And then there's a little bit of whose dick is bigger between Snape and Sirius.
Yeah, pretty much. They both pull their wands out and show them off. Mm-hmm. And stare at each other. I
think at one point Harry has to get in between them.
There's gotta be some slash fiction with these guys. Gotta be.
I hate that I can't go look at any of that stuff.
Someday you will be able to.
Someday.
Someday when we have our meetup in Universal with all the Unspoiled fans, I will read aloud some terrible slash fiction.
If Florida keeps fucking up, I cannot go visit them.
You will go visit them.
I might have to boycott Florida.
You son of a bitch. This entire country is a hot mess and you will just be fine with it. Everybody help me out here.
I've been waiting forever to see that.
Browbeat her into this shit. I will not tolerate individuality and nonconformity. No prior signs of nonconformity. This was her first offense. I was supposed to see you alone, Potter, said Snape. But Black... I'm his godfather, said Sirius. I'm here on Dumbledore's orders, but by all means stay, Black. I know you like to feel involved. Shit.
Shade.
I can't even help but be kind of like snickering because I don't like Snape at all. Don't get me wrong. But Sirius can be so annoying.
Yeah.
So
and the lines Snape gets off in this exchange are like a thing of beauty.
They really are. So let's see. Merely that I'm sure you must feel frustrated by the fact that you can do nothing useful.
Oh my
for
God,
the
it's
order.
so good.
Oh God. So he tells him that what it is, occlumency, is the ability to keep his brain from being penetrated. Super creepy.
Yeah, a little bit.
By Voldemort. Why can't Dumbledore teach Harry? Asked Sirius aggressively. Why you? I suppose because it is a headmaster's privilege to delegate less enjoyable tasks, said Snape silkily. I assure you, I did not beg for the job. Oh, he's such a dick.
He really is. He is in full Snapiness.
Yep.
In this entire exchange. I feel like he stopped being Snape a couple chapters ago just so he could be so much more Snape right now. That's what I feel like happened. Oh, it's so good. It's so good. He's like, I'm in a hurry. Unlike you, I don't have unlimited leisure time.
Oh, shit. So yeah, then Sirius is like, if you're using these classes as an opportunity to give Harry a hard time, and he's like, well, you know that he's very much like his father, and he's so arrogant that criticism simply bounces off of him.
Can he get the petty award for God's sake? This shit is like Olympic level petty.
Yep. Yep.
And then now Sirius is ready to fight.
Yeah, he gets up, takes his wand out. They're fucking in each other's faces. Harry has to come and step between them to calm shit down. And then Arthur and family walk in the middle of this shit. And they finally, Snape and Sirius, like, come to their senses because of the witnesses. But it got pretty heated. I mean, who knows what would have happened.
I think Sirius, what does he call him? Snivellus instead of Cestus?
Snivellus.
Yeah. So they realize what they're doing and they, check themselves. And then Snape swishes out.
Swishes.
That's what he does, right? He swishes out.
I love it. What's been going on? Nothing, Arthur, said Sirius, who was breathing heavily as though he'd just run a long distance. Just a friendly little chat between two old school friends. With what looked like an enormous effort, he smiled. Oh, dear.
Yeah. But then after that, the Christmas holidays sort of take a turn.
Yeah.
Because now Christmas is over, people are going to be leaving. Sirius has what Molly calls a case of the sullens.
Yes.
Which I think I've been afflicted with once or twice.
And I love, too, that Hermione's like, to Harry regarding occlumency. She's like, well, that's awesome. You won't be having the nightmares. And Ron is like, I would rather have the nightmares than have to have another class with Snape.
No shit.
Plus the fact that Snape tells Harry to tell everybody else that it's remedial potions.
Yeah.
So
it's just like a bad situation, just worse. Like you have to tell everyone that you're getting classes because you're too stupid to pass the regular ones. Snape's not being any nicer to him, even though there's ostensibly on the same side at this point. Mm-hmm. He's still treating him like shit.
Yep.
Like I expected the class to go better when we get to that. Mm-hmm. But it doesn't. It's still Snape being exactly what he's been.
Yep.
For the entire series. Which is confusing to me. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, I mean, I totally understand. This was something that frustrated the shit out of me.
And especially considering the little meme that I came across. I'm just like, okay, maybe you're trying to help, but you're being a dick while you're trying to help. And that defeats the purpose of you trying to help.
Does it completely?
It doesn't defeat the purpose, but it makes you sucky.
Yeah, agree on that. It's just, like you said, you have skills, and if you just didn't be such a dick about it, because at one point during the occlumency lesson, he's like, clear your mind, why aren't you doing it? And Harry's like, I'm trying, but you're not telling me how.
And he's not telling him how at all.
No, he's just like, well, just do it, though.
Yeah.
I'm like, but you call bad teaching.
Yeah, and the thing is, it's like, I get that Snape, he even says as much to Sirius that this is not what he wanted. Like, he would rather be doing other things. But I almost expect, and this is probably me cheating as a reader, I almost feel like in these moments when it's just the two of them, Snape could be different. But I also respect the fact that he's not. That he, as a writer, I respect the fact that he's the same fucking guy. But in my heart, I wanted this after school meeting to be a different Snape. I wanted it to be like I'm here for you, Harry, Snape.
Right.
And it wasn't that at all. It was the same fucking guy that's been teaching potions for 5 years. Mm-hmm. And I was kind of bummed out by that.
I really like it also because it sort of shows that Snape knows one way to teach, too.
Yeah.
You know, his method of basically browbeating and shaming people into doing better is all he knows how to do. It's not like he's secretly hiding his A game.
Exactly. he is who she's shown us that he is.
Yep.
And he's not going to magically be someone different. You know, he's who we've met. Yeah. And it just so happens that he's supposed to be on our side, but that doesn't make him any more likable. Mm-hmm. And I respect that as a character that's written in the book. But again, I was bummed out.
Yeah, agreed.
I wanted like a secret hug. You know what I mean? Like while no one's looking.
Yep.
But I didn't get that.
Yeah, there's a character in the Dresden Files who's, you know, he's a good well-written character. He is a good guy in quotes and very concerned with doing the right thing and also insufferable and just, you know. Yeah. And I really enjoy his character because there are characters like Snape where you're not really quite sure why he has to be as fucking insufferable as he is. Like, where does this come from? Why do you have to be such a dick? Mm-hmm. And in Dresden Files, it's that the fact that he is so concerned with doing the right thing is what makes him a dick, because he is sure that everybody else isn't as concerned with it as him. So it's almost like a manifestation of his paranoia that turns him into such an asshole. But yeah, it's I always enjoy characters that technically are on the side of right, but you just hate them anyway.
But they're still awful, yeah.
Right, yeah.
Because that's the thing that happens. Mm-hmm. Sometimes people are on the side of right, and they're still fucking ridiculous people.
Yep.
You know, that you don't like.
Yep.
Not everybody is like, you know, warm blankets and puppy dogs. I guess.
Warm blankets and puppy dogs. You don't hear that together. You usually hear like rainbows or cupcakes or lollipops, but warm blankets is pretty solid. I like it. I'd rather have warm blankets than a lollipop. That's for
I was going to
sure.
say nobody hates a warm blanket. That's fact. Canon. Nobody hates a warm blanket.
Somebody put it on a t-shirt. I'll put on a t-shirt this week when I finish my t-shirt store. Nobody hates a warm blanket, a proverb. Unspoiled proverb. Okay, so they are leaving to go back to the, what do you call it? To Hogwarts. Hi. And they actually wind up taking the night bus back. Yeah. Which I reread and I still can't figure out exactly why they decided to do it this way instead.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure, but it was fun.
Maybe is it supposed to be that like there isn't the train on holidays?
Well, they say the train doesn't run on Christmas Day, but I assumed they weren't leaving on Christmas Day. I thought it was the day after that they were leaving.
Well, when they say that, I thought they meant like the underground.
Well, yeah, they say they have to take because they take a car, right?
Right.
To see Arthur because there's no trains running on Christmas Day.
But I meant the Hogwarts Express.
Oh, well.
You know.
That's a good point. Why don't they just go to the station?
I guess that's all I can think is that there isn't a train for holiday travel. It's just for like the beginning.
That doesn't make sense though, but because a lot of people are coming back from the holidays,
yeah,
and they would all be taking the train. So it's a weird choice that they're on a night's bus.
Yeah, I don't know. If anybody has an idea, let me know. But okay, so Sirius gives Harry something that's wrapped up and tells him not to open it here, but it's something that you can use to get in touch with me if you ever need to.
I wonder what it is. He says specifically if Snape gives you a hard time. Mm-hmm. Which, I don't know. we've covered a bunch of different ways to communicate. You know, you have your owls, you have your portkeys, you have your fire. I don't know what he's given him in this little envelope. I'm really looking forward to finding out what that is, because I have no idea what it is.
Woohoo! So they take the night bus back with Tonks and Lupin, I think it is, right? They followed Lupin down the front steps. Yeah, so it's Tonks and Lupin. And the night bus is something that Ron has never had the privilege of experiencing.
He's so excited, and then he's not.
And then he's like, fuck this. Yeah, they are all on the second floor of the bus, thank God, because there is a witch who is vomiting copiously on the first floor. And Tonks pays a bribe.
I think Tonks bribes him to be like, hey, can you drop us off next?
Yeah, she's like, I don't want this any more than you do. And when they get off the train finally, Harry or Hermione's already talking about how she's going to start knitting more hats for the house elves. And I'm like, really, Harry, you got to tell her, man. He's got to tell her. He still hasn't told her.
Still hasn't said shit.
It's just so, it's just wasting a lot of time and energy. You don't know how much yarn costs, man. But yeah. Oh, and the guy on the night bus, is like, oh, hey, it's Harry Potter. We both were real surprised that it turns out you're crazy.
Yeah.
You don't seem so crazy.
We read all about you, but it was never anything nice.
Yes.
There's a thing, too, that Sirius and Snape says to Sirius that he was spotted on the train tracks when he went as the dog.
Yes.
So I'm thinking maybe they took the night bus so that Tonks and Lupin could escort them. Because maybe they couldn't do it on the train? I mean, I don't know.
I don't know why that would matter if the two of them were seen. Sirius is a fugitive.
Yeah, well, no. I just mean that Tonks and Lupin take them all the way back to Hogwarts, practically. And maybe why they didn't take the regular train is because they couldn't get on it. And not be noticed. I don't know. I'm trying to figure out why they would take this way back to school. Because it does seem like a weird choice.
Yeah. I don't know, man.
Yeah, I don't know. That's all I can think of. They put them on the train at the beginning of this book, and no one seemed to give a shit.
Yeah. So that's what I meant, was like, I understand why Sirius needs to stay hidden, but I don't get why Lupin and Tonks need to be.
Yeah, I don't know. And I don't know if it's a thing where you can't get on that express unless you're a student. Like, is that a thing?
I mean, Lupin comes with them in the third book.
You're right.
Yeah, he's on the train.
Yes, that doesn't make sense. All right, so I don't know what's going on with this night bus. I don't know why they picked it. It's really odd.
But Lupin was going to be a teacher there, and if he's not a teacher and he comes on the bus, maybe that is, or not the bus, the train. But they don't need to get on the train with them. I don't know.
I don't know either. I was glad to see the night bus again because it's fun. But you're right, it's a weird choice.
And it doesn't seem... Also, like, you could say, security because they don't want to leave Harry alone. But they let Harry take the train to school in the beginning, right after he got attacked by Dementors. Yep. So, y'all were worried then, too, and it was fine. So I don't really get that. Yeah,
it's a weird choice. That might just be sort of a way to insert this part of the story. Maybe. Let's bring the night train back. So, yeah.
But yeah, if anybody has an idea on that one, let me know, because I don't really get it. Okay, so Harry spent most of the next day dreading the evening. His morning potions lesson did nothing to dispel his trepidation, as Snape was as unpleasant as ever. And Harry's mood was further lowered by the fact that members of the DA were continually approaching him in the corridors, asking hopefully whether there would be a meeting that night. And he has to tell everybody that he's taking remedial potions, so he can't do it. You're taking remedial potions? Said Zachariah Smith superciliously.
Guy.
He's so insufferable. I hate this kid.
He really is. I'm already so over him. if he doesn't like have an arc that makes him save the day, then I feel like I don't even have to know him. Like, why is he here? Except to just be a pain in the ass.
Yep. Maybe that's what his role is to be technically a good guy that we hate also.
Oh, I don't need that.
We have a lot of those. We're fine, thanks.
Yeah, we're good.
And then he runs into Cho and just almost very, very comes close to just fucking some shit up.
I love this so much.
Because he's just not paying attention.
It's so sweet and it feels very true. Because he's in one place, right? He's answering her question as though she asked something different.
Yep.
And then once he realizes he has to kind of chase after her.
Yeah. Wait.
Adorable. I love it. I do. I really do. And I wasn't sure if I would really give a fuck about this whole thing with Harry and Cho, but I am. I'm invested.
Yay.
I am. I don't know how it's going to work out, but this when she's so happy to see him, and then she feels like he's blowing her off because he kind of is,
and she's so mortified,
right? But it's only because he doesn't understand what's happening, which is also very realistic. Like he just doesn't get what's going on in the moment. And it takes him a little bit. I loved it so much.
It's on Valentine's Day. Right, said Harry, wondering why she was telling him this.
Yeah. And wait, I can't even find it. He answers a question that he thinks she's asking. But it's not the question she's asking. Basically, she's asking, do you want to hang out on Valentine's Day? And he's answering it as though...
Well, he's not even answering it. He just says, and she immediately is like, oh my God, and like runs off.
She says, have you checked the board and everything? And she's like, yeah, it's on Valentine's Day. And he says, right. Well, I suppose you want to. And she goes, only if you want to. And then he was like, I suppose you want to know when the next DA meeting is.
No, he doesn't. That's what he doesn't say that.
It.
Yeah.
He thinks it. Because he's thinking that's what she's going to ask next. But when he stumbles, she gets mortified.
Right. Thinks that he's suddenly like,
right?
Well, I mean, if it is only if I want to, then I don't. So never mind.
It was so true. Not for me, because no one ever asked me anywhere. But
I do, but you say that Florida isn't worth your time.
That's not fair. But I did. I love that little exchange between them. And it's a slow build, but I am starting to kind of want Harry to have happiness with someone, and if it's Cho, I want him to have it.
All right.
But I don't believe he's going to have it, because there's no happiness in these books.
That's not fair.
Is it not fair?
There's some.
There's no happiness.
I mean, Christmas was...
It was all right.
Yeah, other than Mr. Weasley almost dying from a snake
exactly,
bite.
Right?
And Creature maybe disappearing to do God knows what.
But for right now, Harry has a Valentine's Day date, and that's okay.
There was a thing on Valentine's Day going around in Harry Potter fandom. What are you doing on Valentine's Day? And then it would be the cut from the second movie. I'll be up in my room, sitting still and pretending I don't exist. And sitting still, making no noise, and pretending I don't exist. Okay, so he goes and meets up with Snape and has his first class. What do you think of occlumency?
I didn't like it. I really didn't like it. And so Snape is a terrible teacher.
Yep.
We've already known that. That's like not news. But he's really bad. Mm-hmm. And Harry, I thought, was doing a pretty good job resisting him. I mean, Snape was getting in, but there were moments where Harry was like, no, you don't get to hear this. I don't want you to hear this. Mm-hmm. But the fact that Harry keeps ending up on his knees means to me that he is not...
He's not doing great.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If you end up on your knees, not doing great.
Well,
I I was wondering. I didn't want to do it. I thought you might.
I don't know what you're talking about. I didn't say anything.
But so this goes on a couple of times. It's gone. I can't pretend like I'm still just talking about this shit. But so Snape does the thing a couple of times, and Harry, I thought, was doing a not half bad job. But I guess it wasn't good enough. Yeah,
I mean, Snape honestly gives him a pretty enormous compliment for him. He says, well, for a first attempt, that was not as poor as it might have been.
Yeah.
Which Snape doesn't give anybody compliments ever, so unless they're in Slytherin. But what did you think of the explanation of why he needs it?
I thought it was super valid because I went on the whole thing last week trying to understand what was happening with him and the snake. Mm-hmm. And one of the things I thought was that I couldn't explain why Harry was in the snake, but one of the things I thought was that if Voldemort was in the snake and Harry is connected to Voldemort, then that would explain why he was also in the snake. Mm-hmm. Which these chapters kind of say that's what happened.
Right.
What I hadn't thought about was that once Voldemort realizes what's going on, that it's a two-way street. Mm-hmm. So that's, like, kind of serious. So, I felt good in the sense that, all right, we know what's happening. It's not so much that Voldemort's possessing Harry, but it's just that they have such a connection that Harry is able to pick up on feelings Voldemort has and kind of follow Voldemort around without knowing it.
Right.
But then we find out that we think he does know now. Voldemort realizes what Harry's been doing and realizes he can go, use the same sort of, I don't know what to call it, like pathway or whatever. Mm-hmm. He can travel the same pathway and figure out what's going on with Harry and learn what Harry learns. So then all the stuff with Snape, and Harry is so beat down at the end that I wasn't surprised when it turns out that they have to wake him up in the middle of the night.
Right, yeah.
Because he's actually more vulnerable now.
Yeah.
From the lessons, which I feel like Snape and even Dumbledore should have known.
They didn't wake him up in the middle of the night, though.
Doesn't Ron come and wake him up and say, Hermione told me to come get you?
Hold on, let me find the...
Hermione said that you would be weak from the lessons.
So here it is. He walked across the common room, who tried to put a headless hat on him. He opened the door of his dormitory and was one step inside it when he experienced pain so severe he thought someone must have sliced into the top of his head. So, yeah, he goes down and has this experience wide awake.
Well, that's with Snape, though, right?
No, this is when he's back in the common room. This is page 541.
541. All right, I'm not there far enough. All right, so this is after he has the weird laughing thing, right?
No, it's the same one.
But it's right. Okay, so...
He felt the pain in the top of his head. Maniacal laughter was ringing in his ears. He was happier than he had been in a very long time. And someone hit him around the face. Yeah, and
Ron says, Hermione told me to come and check on you. She said your defenses would be low at the moment after Snape's fiddling around in your head. Mm-hmm. So that makes me think that the exercises he did with Snape made him more susceptible to whatever it is that Voldemort's doing.
Certainly possible.
So him and Snape go back and forth a couple times. Snape is like, I'm going to get in your head. And Harry's like, no, don't. But
I definitely, he's got to be more susceptible because Snape earlier is like, well, he's able to get in when your mind is most relaxed,
right?
Like when you're asleep. And now it's happening when he's wide awake, walking around.
And so it hadn't occurred to me that, again, that it could go two ways. Like, the way that Snape says it, he suggests that somehow Voldemort has realized recently. Mm-hmm. that, oh, I can do this. I can, like, go into Harry Potter and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So all this time that Harry has been having these sort of visions, Voldemort has been unaware, which hadn't occurred to me either.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that what they had going on was a two-way street from the beginning. Which led me to think that Harry was being possessed, and which is why I was so excited about the first chapter, because I thought they were answering questions that they weren't. But I really did. I really thought that Voldemort realized immediately that Harry was there.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah, but it turns out that's not what was happening at all. Harry was kind of eavesdropping.
Mm-hmm.
But now he's not. And so he has the thing with Snape, and he has the class, and Snape is getting in his head. Pretty good too.
Yeah.
What I see.
Yep.
And there's one quick moment too where Harry remembers/realizes what this corridor is.
Mm-hmm. I thought you said corridor for a second. Corridor. I got you.
Corridor?
You said corridor, like corridor.
Corridor. It can't be corridor?
No.
I'm so black. Corridor. And which we've been seeing, bits and pieces of for a while now. And he realizes what it is. And that he's been there before in real life.
Yep.
And that he's been dreaming about it. So they are all starting to think that there's something in this room, which is called the what? The Mysteries?
The Department of Mysteries. At the
ministry, right?
Right.
And he tells Snape this.
And, Snape is just like, why are you asking that?
Right.
And then trying to act all cool about it.
I don't know why, but I thought he'd be like, let me tell you what this means.
Nope.
Because I just started reading these yesterday. I really thought Snape would be so impressed by that he would just fucking level everything out.
Acting brand new, as
but
they
he
say.
didn't. He did not act that way at all.
Nope. Yeah.
So I'm worried that this course of action with these lessons with Snape are going to be dangerous.
That's about it. Right
yeah,
there.
right. Fuck, right? Like I understand why he has to have it, because he has to be able to protect his mind from Voldemort. But I feel like it makes him much more vulnerable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, at least in the short term it does.
Yeah, it really does, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's his first one class, one night, and he's already fucking... Yeah. Dumbledore, talk to me. That's what I feel like. I feel like, okay, don't talk to Harry, but you can talk to me. I hate that he's not, telling me what's going on and what he thinks is happening. It's making me anxious.
Do you think that Snape knows that Harry's going to be more vulnerable? Because he doesn't mention it to Harry.
I think that Snape, even though he's a horrible, petty person, I think Snape realizes that. And I feel like in some other plane that I don't get to see, he may have even discussed this with Dumbledore.
Okay.
But for whatever reasons, they decided that what had to happen has to happen.
But
you know what I mean?
Don't you think that he would have warned him? Hey,
No.
you might start having things
I
happen?
I don't think that of Snape, no.
Okay.
I would have thought it of Dumbledore had he been around this whole book, talking to Harry. I would have totally expected that from Dumbledore. But I don't expect it from Snape. I feel like whatever Dumbledore says to Snape, Snape is going to take and be done with it. That's like the final word.
Mm-hmm.
He's not going to feel a need to justify or explain or any of that. Because that's just kind of what and who he is.
Mm-hmm.
But, which is why it's so important for Hermione to be the one watching, being like, hey.
Right, yeah.
Because if it's not for her,
Yeah.
Our Harry is just out in the breeze.
Not that what she's doing is necessarily helping. I'm not sure that they're able to actually affect what's happening to Harry.
Yeah, I don't think they're able to affect it, but I think her being aware of it is important as well. Just to
Okay.
put it out there. You know, I don't know if Hermione's information or her gut feeling or her inclinations are enough to change what's happening,
Mm-hmm.
but I think it's important that it's out there as a, hey, you might want to think about this. Even if just for me, the reader, not necessarily for Harry. And I trust that Dumbledore, like Phineas said, has not led Harry astray ever. So I trust that what he's doing is for the ultimate good of Harry.
Mm-hmm.
But this chapter ends with Voldemort being super excited and happy about something.
What do you think?
That shit can't be good. It can't. It cannot be good.
That is true.
And I don't know if it's because right before that happens, Harry has the realization about the hallway and what it is and where it goes.
Right.
And at this point, I don't know if Voldemort is like, oh shit, it's the Hall of Mysteries at the Ministry. Like, I don't know if that's what's happening. I don't think it is. But whatever is making Voldemort that fucking happy cannot be good. It just can't.
Yeah, he's really excited. Whatever it is.
What does he say? The happiest he's been in 14 years.
Something like that, yeah.
Since he's had a face.
Since he's had a face.
You know, I mean.
Oh, God.
So, I don't. And again, guys, if you're listening still, if you could have seen me as I was reading these chapters at the beginning and how good I felt, how happy I felt.
When will you learn?
I was so optimistic. I felt so good. And then when I got to the end, all I felt was bad.
And all was sorrow.
All was sorrow. And this is only the first fucking lesson with Snape.
Yep.
And I just... I don't know. I just want people to be happy. That's where I am at this point in the book. I'm like, can I just get a happy ending, please? I don't know. I don't know. I'm so conflicted. Like, I understand why Dumbledore is not seeing him. We talked about that already in the last episode. But I still want Dumbledore to come out of the shadows and, like, tell everybody it's going to be okay. Tell everybody he's got a plan.
Oh, what about Snape telling Harry not to use the Dark Lord's name? He gets real mad about that.
I was shocked by that. But they had a really not cute, but a really good moment where Snape rubs his arm.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like using Voldemort's name to Snape would be a little bit different than using it in front of Ron or Hermione or whoever.
Right.
So I was willing to let that kind of be like, oh, I understand that. Because I'm assuming Snape's history with Voldemort is much more involved and has much more horror attached to it than even I know yet. So if he's kind of shook by the name, I feel like, all right, you have that. You know what I mean?
Yep. No, I get it. It's not just him being superstitious kind of.
Exactly. I feel like he is talking from what he knows. I thought it was funny that Harry would say it and Snape wouldn't, but I got it. Because I feel like Snape has seen some shit. You know what I mean? And he's not here for your casual usage of the name. So I can't wait to read the next ones. I just want something good to happen. Guys, tell me something good happens in this book.
Oh, man.
Does it? Anything?
I mean, there's a couple things.
No, that is not resounding reassurance.
It isn't what is sort of...
No, just stop it.
I guess we could see how Valentine's Day goes. Okay, well, that is the end of those chapters. We have some new reviews.
Shut up. Do we really?
Yeah, we do. Why do you keep being surprised by that?
I'm always surprised by that.
Okay, so forgive me. One of them is going to be having been translated out of Portuguese, I believe.
I think you read that one.
No, that was from Argentina.
Oh, look
This one's
at you.
from Brazil.
Worldwide.
So this is from Vic Sampao from Brazil. 5 stars. Please, if you speak English and like Harry Potter, listen to this podcast. This podcast is awesome. Natasha, an avid fan of HP, has shows with this premise a person who already knows the story spoiled, and for a person who knows nothing of this universe for a while. She has devised that Roshawn, her friend, has never taken any spoilers on Harry Potter and decided to ask her to do the show. Here is Roshawn discovering the history, theorizing about what's going to happen, and charming more and more with the universe. Oh, I think he means growing more and more charmed by the universe that J.K. created is sensational.
Aww.
Both presenters are very engrasadase several times, mostly on the subway going to college. I don't know what that means. I find myself laughing of any comments they have made about a situation from the book.
I choose to believe that means listening on my way to school. I laugh out loud on the subway.
Yeah, I'm like, engrasadas, it means, I wonder if it's like, funny or something like that. But if you are already a fan of Harry Potter, this podcast is for you. If you're not a fan, but would like to know more, enjoy and discover the story with Roshawn. If it is a joy too large to participate in this experience that made me rediscover my love for Harry Potter. I'm sorry, Vic Sampao, if I totally butchered that, but this translator isn't flawless, obviously. So thank you so much for that. And then we have Ashon, 5 stars from the U.S., another jewel in the unspoiled diadem. Yay. Yeah. New and notable. Psh, Natasha's been crushing podcasts for years. Where have you been? Azkaban? Oh, I love this so much. Well, it's a good thing you didn't know about Unspoiled, or the Dementors would have sucked out the happy memories of listening to Natasha and Roshawn take a chapter-by-chapter approach to the HP series. Natasha's read the books, seen the movies, peeked into Rowling's private pensieve, and Roshawn has not. They discuss gender politics, whether or not Ron is brave, quote, and in parentheses, he's not, and why no one just stops and tells an adult. That's the way of the podcast on the Unspoiled Network rule. One person on the show, one person in the know, the other making predictions, while listeners snicker out of pity and empathy, and because sometimes those predictions are spot on. Do yourself a favor and subscribe to HP Unspoiled, or Breaking Bad, or The Dark Tower, or The Wire, or Game of Thrones. After you come up, Game of Thrones is patrons only now, sadly for you guys, not sadly for me, because now I don't have to have hate mail. But after you come up from the hundreds of hours of free content, your ears will thank you. Thank you very much, Sean. I'm hoping I'm saying that right. And then the last one is 5 stars from Learning the Technology from the United States, enjoying HP again. I've listened to 3 podcasts and I'm loving every moment of it, from quick debates on pronunciation to long discussions on who knew what when. This is done so very well. This is a great way to relive and enjoy the HP story. Thanks again. Oh, thank you guys so much.
Thanks, guys.
I had a really nice message, too, on Facebook from a lady who said that she got her son into the show. And I at first was like, and she was like, yeah, he's in high school and his friends. And I was like, oh, okay, because, she had only just started listening to it. And
we get dirty.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Let's see. I'm trying to find where it was. Oh, yeah. I said, I'm glad you qualified. He's a high school student, because I was worried there for a sec. And she said, yes, I agree with your description of your language, but he's of age and able to hear things and not copy, and the analysis is great. Oh. I would not recommend this for the junior age youth group from church, but again, as an adult, this is great. So thank you very much to you guys for that. And just have 3 new patrons. We have two, I'm sorry. Marquesa and Jackson and Zach Sawyer. Zach is actually the one who did the Snape's morning cuppa submission
nice.
for the t-shirt contest. And speaking of that, I am working on creating the Zazzle store for the t-shirts and stuff. It has turned into a little bit more of a project than I had been prepared to deal with, so bear with me, everybody. It's probably going to be another week or so before it's really ready to launch. But when it is, I will let you know, because the t-shirts are going to be pretty fun. And I think that is about it on that front. And then lastly, don't forget, everybody, that the World War Z, the first
I haven't got my book
blab on that, well, not the first blab on World War Z, but the first Unspoiled Book Club blab is going to be the first week of May, the first Saturday, May 7th at 7 p.m. Central Time. I just started listening to the audiobook. It's really, really good. I'm about halfway through it already, and I'm like trying to slow myself down. And I got the book itself in the mail also, so I can use that for reference. But it's been pretty engrossing. So if y'all haven't read it, I really recommend checking it out, because it's framed in such a way as a bunch of interviews with people who have lived through a war that is now mostly over, and what these people had gone through, and the varying experiences from different areas of the world, different countries, and it's a different actor, voice actor, doing each of those interviews on the audiobook, and they each had like a different position within government, or just an ordinary person, or somebody who was like on the front lines when it started to break. It's really interesting. So yeah, that's going to be, once May hits, it's going to be a once a month deal on the first Saturday of every month at 7 p.m. Central Time on Blab, and it's going to be open to everybody. And then it will be on iTunes for everyone also. And yeah, that's about it.
All right.
All right, everybody. Well, sorry, what?
No, I'll say it off air.
What?
Nothing. It's off air.
All right. All right, everybody. Well, thanks